a very special thank you to everybody who tunes in to the Justin Podcast. And I also want to give a special thanks to all my sponsors.
He's a pioneer and the voice for XTV East Coast. He's the XTV Hall of Famer. And now, Justin Turkey Legs brings his famous voice to the podcast world. This is Justin's podcast.
All right, y'all. I've been talking about it, and finally, I'm going to have my special guest, Chris Major. I've said that in about like 3 podcasts, and I never got him, but I got him on the phone. We're going to get him on the phone in just a few moments. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, Ernest Justin Turkey Leg, and it's a good time here on this podcast on the XTV East Coast Network via YouTube. Hope you guys are all having a good day out there. We definitely appreciate you coming in to join us. And I'm just going to get right to what I got on my mind. That's right. I'm going to get right into it. As I sit here and I smoke on this good weed. It's my day off, y'all. You ain't gonna hear no cars, no trucks, no clanging and banging. Cause I'm up right here live in my own studio. I'm at peace. I feel good. Hold on. Martha! Yeah, to bring me a thing for my back. Needed me an ice pick. Hurt my back the other day. But I'm doing fine. Lifting up heavy ass shit. There's conspiracies going on, ladies and gentlemen. At work. Alright. These motherfuckers. So in the morning time, you know what I'm saying, you gotta scan in all of your boxes, right? Now if you scan in all of your boxes, that means that if anything get misdelivered outside of outside the warehouse, once you get out there and start delivering, it's on you. Because you scan in all your stuff, and if you reconcile, I was supposed to say that. If you reconcile, then that mean that, you good, and that mean that you got everything that you're supposed to have on your truck, because you reconcile. So, if anything get misdelivered, it is your fault. However, there are certain cases, like what happened to me yesterday. Yesterday, I had this big ass box. It's a rolling lock box. That's what it's called. The product is called rolling lock. I don't know what the hell it is. I guess it's something like safe or something. Like, it's heavy as hell though. It got to be like easily 100 pounds. It's heavy, and you got to drag this big heavy motherfucker and put it inside the damn put it inside the truck. So I scanned it in, I scanned in everything, and I reconciled. So I went out, I'm driving, going along about my day, and I get to a specific stop, Prioria, where they don't never help your ass. They just sit there on their ass or do whatever the hell they doing and act like you ain't got to damn offload 100 damn heavy ass boxes and just big awkward ass shit that ain't meant for one man to carry. So, anyways, I went on ahead, and it really wasn't that much stuff. I had probably like, I don't know, roughly 13 boxes, just for argument's sake. About 13 boxes, and, I offloaded those, but when I get to Prioria, I just offload them because, and I don't look at the paper because it's just so much shit that you just trying to get it off. You ain't got time to be wasting to sit up, look at every little piece. You just look at the box and make sure that it go to that place, and I always have it in a specific location so that I know where all the boxes at. And in this case, it was inside of a bed liner, and so I had, so that means that it was all grouped together. So it was no way that I could possibly make a mistake and think that it was somewhere else. So I successfully offloaded everything, got out of there in about probably 25 to 30 minutes. It always take a while. And then I got to my next stop, and that's when I realized the issue with the rolling lock. And the issue is that it's supposed to be 2 boxes, because I look down at my invoice and I see that they got 2 things on their invoice, that they purchased. So I'm like, damn, what the hell's going on? And I'm looking all in the back. Where's this other rolling lock box? And that's when I think to myself, I'm like, well, maybe, by not looking at the paper, maybe I had forgot and just made a mistake and gave Prioria the rolling lock box. So I had to double back, and I hate doing that because I was ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? I was ahead of my time. Everything was going smooth, and when you go back, you lose time. And you just like, I don't know. It's just not. I don't feel good. I don't like when that happened. So that's what happened, and so I ended up going back. I asked the guy, I say, man, did you see a rolling lock box? Because these guys, they know these pieces. They see these parts all the time, so they know it better than me. And he was like, nah. He had pointed to all the stuff. By the time I had got back, they had moved everything and shit, but they had it like over in a little unorganized pile over, off in the cut because they had to park in this truck and they was working on that. And so I look over there, and they like, nah, it ain't no rolling lock box there. So I'm like, he was like, if you missing one, just check inside your box. Check inside the original rolling lock box that you do have, because sometimes they put the rails in there. That's what was missing, a box of rails. So I was like, all right. So that made me feel a little bit better because I had a 44-minute drive to the next spot, which, the rolling lock box belonged to. So once I got there, they say to me, I said to them, like, hey, is it a rolling lock box that has the rails that come along with it? And they was like, nah, so they looked at it and they like, it wasn't in there and shit, so they was like, yeah, it's the box missing. I'm like, damn. So now I gotta call DJ because we just had this this meeting where, he was just saying, can't be no more missed deliveries, and they're gonna start cracking down, on this type of shit, because this is a job where you're supposed to deliver parts, so that's your job, so do it right. Basically type of shit, which I completely understood. So I hate to have to call this man and be like, oh man, I done fucked up, but I didn't fuck up. I told him my situation. I told him exactly what happened, and he understood. He was like, in any other case, I'd be like, yeah, you bullshitting, but that sound truthful. It's like he doubted me. He doubted my integrity. I ain't understand that part, but I didn't question it. You know what I'm saying? He just told me to tell them to just reorder it. You know what I'm saying? And the dude was like, he was a older guy, and he was a nice dude, white guy, and he was like, and he really needed it like that day. He needed it that day, so that he can have it for tomorrow. It was very important to him. And, I apologized, told him to reorder. He had then got on the phone with, like, people, the original warehouse who sent all of the stuff down to us. And he was asking them, like, can I get it tomorrow? And they told him that he could. But they can't guarantee that shit. They just be saying that shit. I hope he got his stuff. Because it was for him, something that he was doing for another customer, like one of his customers. He had a job to do. So I really hope it work out for him. That's just crazy. I mean, I'm so legit, and I get doubted. It's just crazy. I have no reason to not keep it real with people, but people doubt me. But that's okay. It don't hurt my feelings or nothing like that. It's just sometimes it comes surprising. It's like, damn, I just shown you the kind of person I am. But it is what it is. Life goes on. That was just yesterday, I believe. So much happens in a day. Everything was going pretty smooth up to that point. And then after that, everything went smooth sailing after that. But I be checking my papers. I be knowing, what I got and who getting what. I'm getting much better. But all I gotta do is just let that show over time, and it will. Oh yeah, XTV Mania is on its way, and as everybody knows, I will be going up against Neil. So, Neil, I hope you prepared, because not only am I going to be in the best shape of my life, but I got a personal trainer. Harvey Walden. And he's going to be in my corner at XTV Mania. That's right. He ain't gonna be at ringside. He just gonna be there cheering me on. I ain't gonna have nobody at ringside. Ain't gonna be no kind of outside interference. No, don't think I'm going that route. I'm not a cheater. I don't have to cheat. In fact, I already know that I'm at a great deficit in this match. Up against an experienced policeman. Years in the game, dealing with all kinds of kids and, delinquents. I'm well aware of that. But you crossed the line. And I'm going to finish this off. Harvey Walden has been training me. In fact, on my next podcast, I'm going to have him as a special guest to talk to him about what is about to transpire. And you can take that to the bank. That's all I'm going to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, when I come back, Chris Major will be on the telephone lines after I pay a few bills. I paid the rent. Oh, it feels good. I paid the rent and the light bill. I ain't got no money, really. I got pocket change, but, that's okay. That's okay. I'm finna go and make one of those angels in the carpet. Yeah. I'm gonna make a carpet angel. I'll be back. Hey man, what's going on? It's Brian Millman. Tune in to Shites Radio from the New Millennium Podcast, because you never know what's going to happen. We got special guests, special fun, special games. You never know what's going to happen over on Vimeo at Shites Podcast Radio. Check it out. Shites Radio, the Millennium Podcast. Alright, y'all, I got Chris Major on the phone. What's going on, Chris, man? Where you at?
Man, I'm in Montreal right now, man. We're just doing a tour. I got a training camp up here, and we just go from city to city. Just doing little shows, and different things like that, man.
Chris Major, I haven't talked to you since 2013, since the great tragedy.
Man, that was terrible. It was bull.
No, you can go ahead and say it.
It was bullshit. Every damn time. I can't help it, man. I always put the bleeps in there.
No, it's all good. Yeah, it's Good Time podcast right here. A Good Time podcast, something like that. And I'm so happy to have you, Chris. We've been trying to do this for such a long time. What's the weather like up there?
It's actually pretty cool out here, man. It's about 68 degrees. It's a nice day. Real pretty, man. Just good old Canadian life, man. You know how it is, man. You know how I do my thing.
Oh, yeah, I definitely know, Chris. One of the major players in XTV cannot be denied. And, Chris, no matter what people say, you're one of my favorites. I always liked how you always kept things fresh, in the ring. You started out in GXT, and, I had my eye on you then.
Well, yeah, man, you're one of the major reasons why I came over, man. You said my name, man, and you made it mean something, and that was pretty cool. Back in the GXT days, they had an idea for me. I was supposed to be their big deal. I was supposed to be like, GXT's version of Bobby. Basically, that's what I was. And, people called me a fake ass Bobby, when I first came in, but, I wanted to get that heat. I wanted to get any possible kind of heat that I could, just to be like the worst heel, because, it was GXT, and, I want to be that kind of real wrestler heel, like a real, take it back to the old school. That's why I wore the singlet. And I came out real hairy. I'm a naturally hairy guy, but I just let it grow as thick as possible, and, just a real snob, turn my nose to the people and just be like such a bad guy, such a dickhead, man.
Yeah, and you were definitely that, but you definitely do have a real amateur background, right?
Yeah, I've got an amateur background. I started out in high school. I was always a fan of wrestling. I went to the to Stampede Wrestling School here, down in Calgary, and I've just always been a fan of the sport. I've always just been into it.
Tell us, a little bit about GXT and, what that was all about. What was the idea? Who was the mind behind it? And, how things went.
I don't really remember there being a mind behind XTV per se, like sort of a, how they do the commissioner kind of thing. I just think it was just a bunch of guys who were, they wanted to be the champion, and I don't even know who the GXT champion was. There was a whole lot of holes in that business. It was just, it was TXG backwards, it was TXG at the time. That was the main thing, and they were just GXT. Not really, much thought behind the whole, program, but, the idea was just to have sort of a alternate league, and something that looked different, felt different, and something like that. So, it was just a fucking fuck fest of guys, a flurry of everybody from Wesley Snipes to myself to 1000, is the man half machine or is the machine half man? It's like rejects from TXG, at the time. So it was just pretty much like that. And, a lot of guys were actually pretty damn good. Like Martin Lawrence was badass, It's like, he could jump high as hell. He was real athletic, and, it's not that the match quality was bad or anything. It was just that it just didn't make sense, and nothing, had any kind of substance in it. It was just certain guys is like, okay, you guys stand out. So what it kind of became was just like a training camp, for different guys. It was just like, but it didn't live too long anyways after that. In fact, the WWE ended up taking over, which was bull, because, they should have let me inside the WWE because I was better than Bobby.
I thought you was in the WWE, Chris.
I don't remember.
In any event.
Yeah, but like I was saying though, I was supposed to be the anti-Bobby, and as far as myself, I just would cheat, man. Like everything I would do, man, like it was just such bad, heel wrestler type of stuff, and I did it on purpose just to get heat, man, like, just to really piss guys off in the ring, because you had, like, the Killer, and, like, he would kind of do the same thing, except, like, he would do anything, anywhere, anytime, and it didn't matter, but I just wanted to keep it wrestling, and just, every time I stepped in the ring, and every time, I got in there with Chris Major, you were going to realize that, he doesn't give a damn, he's going to do anything it takes to win, and he doesn't care about what you think about him.
Yeah, you definitely was like that. I remember certain times, a lot of the guys would just get pissed off at you for, just your different tactics in the ring. I think that they was very effective.
Yeah, I did it on purpose, man. Just to piss guys off because the Killer was like that. I'm like, so that's what bad is over there, huh? So when I got in the ring, I just wanted to get as much like maximum heat. Like I wanted to get the Killer kind of heat, Like I thought that was badass, like he could just get that kind of heat from just like doing certain tactics. So everything I did, like everything was a cheat move, And but of course, I had the technical background, so I could definitely wrestle, So that's why I always wanted to have the respect as well, though, kind of, but like in the background, it's like, yeah, he is good, but he always damn cheats.
Yeah, you pulled it off very well. But I always looked at you as a great guy, as far as, in the ring, I thought that you was very talented. And, I just wondered, do you feel like, you're a little bit underrated, when it comes to, your competition in the ring, because I mean you went all the way to being like the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, I mean, well, I still also feel like, I'm kind of a new guy, though, I mean, I'm really not, like, stapled in yet. I mean, some people came in around the same time as me, me and David B-Boy kind of, started things out at the same time, and he's not really that over it, either. He's gotten, certain opportunities, though, but I think that, Jasmine pointed out this really because of his sister, and I think that people are starting to see that about, David, but, that's not a knock to him. It's just like, the kind of the same thing with me. It's like, we haven't really had that time to, staple ourselves in, and I think that that's what this next run's gonna do for us, like when it comes down to it. I mean, B-Boy, he's gonna have to, change, something about. He's gonna have to really step it up and really be B-Boy, and really stand out. He's gonna have to do something different. But as far as me, I'm just gonna keep on doing the same thing, But like, but I mean, even at the same time, like that's why I did the whole babyface thing to also show that it's like I don't have to cheat, I can win, I can compete and kick ass, and I felt like I did that, in the ring, whether guys respect it or not, every time I went out there, I was out there having badass matches, and that's what my whole moveset was supposed to be, it's like, I was like the anti-Bobby, it's like Bobby's known for his great skill set, his in-ring skill set, and everything he does is like just so smooth. And so I was showing that I could do that too, but I just did it different. Like Bobby didn't do a whole lot of suplexes. I had suplexes, I did submissions that Bobby wouldn't do, like a cross-face chicken wing, and like really be ringing on it, like tap out.
Oh yeah, I remember that time. I remember all those different times. You just had certain tactics to me that that put you over. Like the whole the lockpick stuff, and
yeah, lockpick.
It just really would piss people off. I think like because they can't beat you at your game. You a submission specialist, and you used to always be screaming that up.
Exactly, man. I'm a submission specialist. It really be like ring on like somebody's leg or something like that, and it ain't even really always about cheating either. It's just like certain things I would do, like just hold on to the move a little bit extra longer. I'm a submission specialist, so I'm getting you hurt quicker, and it's all cause of my submissions. And then you want to put a submission on me, you want to make me see how it feels, but you can't because I got the lock pick, so it's like a win-win for me.
Yeah, I believe like you didn't really lose that much. I don't remember you having too many losses.
Well, yeah, I lost, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own ass. I just remember the good times, man. It just makes me excited. Like I just can't wait to get back in there. My favorite opponent out of everybody, who I really miss going in there against is Wells, man. Like, talk about being slept on. Man, we had some great matches. I remember one time on Hugh Street, we went at it. I think we went on last. We were the main event, like just because, just by default, because everybody had their turn, everybody had been picked, and we were the last guys. The West Coast went with Wells, the East Coast went with Major, and man, we rocked that shit, man. We tore that shit up, man. Like it was like a fucking classic. Like it was just like so off the charts, and like it was just one of those times where we were just like so, excuse me, man, we were just so lost in the moment, and but you forget about it because we're not Killer or Bobby, something like that.
Yeah, I want that to stop in XTV, and it ain't really nobody's fault. It's just that we used to a certain way, and but I won't change in XTV. I want like you guys, people like you, B-Boy, Jazz Ma, Kareem, Cole and Steve-O, like people like that, RJ, like the younger kids, David Kidd Jr., you know, and people that have been kind of playing the undercard, you know, people like Walter and Millennium, to get up, you know, and be that next, be those breakout stars, you know, take it to that next level. And I think that, you know, to get there, all you guys really need is time.
Yeah, I mean, we need time, but at the same time, you know, we need guys like yourself, you know, who's doing, you know, what you're doing, and it's like, you know, giving us some light to, you know, to shine, you know. I mean, like, you know, put us out there, and then, you know, people get to know us better, because when you know us a little bit better and know us a little bit more, then, you know, you realize, hey man, you know, this guy's pretty cool, you know, he's not so bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm not a bad dude, you know, but I would get like real legit heat, and I even beat the Killer, you know, and like, you know, there wasn't gonna be as bad as I wanted it to be, but there wasn't gonna be a killer major feud, and it's just because it's like, you know, when I beat the Killer, it's just like, okay, so I beat him, you know, he's still the Killer after that. If he beats me, then I'm nobody. You know, so it didn't really put me over, because that's really not necessarily how XTV works. You kind of got to have, like, a big name. And that's why when Killer beat Bobby, you know, it made sense, and it was just like a big deal. And so Bobby has to still live that down.
But do you really have, like, legit heat with Bob?
I don't have legit heat with Bob or anything like that. It's just like, you know, I admire his style, you know, in the ring. I really appreciate it, and I would like to, you know, keep going back and forth. I mean, we've wrestled, and I've kicked Bobby's ass. You know, I beat Bob. You know, but it's the same thing. It's like, I beat so many guys. Like, I beat a lot of people in XTV. I beat pretty much everybody. Like, you know, and I held the heavyweight championship. So, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't feel like I don't get any respect, but it's just that, you know, it's going to take time to, you know, like, I have to have another run, you know, like, it's like, okay, that's what I did with my first run. It's kind of like maybe I had a lucky run, you know, so it's just going to take time for people to start to catch on to certain guys like us.
Well, yeah. That is true, but, you know, there was certain breakout stars like the 80s guy who's held very highly. He is very highly acclaimed. And in a very short time, in my opinion, I mean, you know, he started out like you know, back in the 06 days.
Yeah, 80s guy is badass, man. I'd like to do like a program with him. Like, you know, I think that we could like really have something. You know, we can make some magic out there, because, you know, here I am, the pure wrestler, raw style. You know, here he is, the flashy guy. You know, but I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a wrestler. You know, and it's like it's like, is there room for two wrestlers in XTV? I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, I think that I'm gonna always be compared to Bob, and, you know, that's probably why, you know, it is how it is, at a stalemate how it is now. But, you know, I've always you know, continued to stick to my guns, you know, stick to my Canadian stuff, you know, and stay myself, you know, and you know, it's just something that time will tell, man. You know, I try to stay pretty much positive about things. You know, I think I do have a place here in XTV, you know, and I haven't necessarily made my mark yet, but, you know, I think I've scratched the surface.
You have in my book, you know, you definitely have to me. You know, I loved what you did, you know, with the whole Major Perfection. You and Artist was peanut butter and jelly. Those were some fun ass times.
Exactly. Another guy who can just go out there and get heat, man, and he's just like doing different tactics, you know, like, you know, just to really piss you off, and you know you can't do anything about it, man, you know, because he can kick your ass.
Oh, that had to be like the best stuff. That was one of the best things that you did when you had when it was you, Dairo, and and the Artist.
You want to talk about fun times, man. We went out there. I can't remember who it was, man. It was a 6-man match at a pay-per-view. It was a survival of the fittest. I can't remember who we wrestled against, but man, that was a fun-ass match.
Yeah, you guys were like third on the card. You guys was doing y'all thing.
Artist is badass, man. Technical wrestler, you know, and he's just like, he's really bad. Like his moves are crazy. He's very decorated. And he's just another guy. He came in around the same time as that '80s guy.
Yeah, but artists. That's what I say. Like it's like I think y'all good. I think y'all there. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all just ain't hit that epic point yet. But y'all damn near close. Y'all so close.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I mean, if you go back and watch our matches, they're badass. We're tearing it up, each and every single time. Like, you like artists or you don't like the artist, you can't deny that, like, he's having badass matches each and every time he goes out there.
Yeah, exactly. Dairo and artists, do you have any do you ever talk with Dairo? I mean, I know that he married to your sister Tiffany Major.
Yeah, man, I just talked to Darren the other day, man, and he's up in Connecticut, and he's just like really living the life, he's doing really damn good, man. He's got like 3 kids, and he cut all his hair off. He's just like doing the kind of like the dad thing, man.
I gotta get Dairo on here. He's been a part of XTV for a long time. And it'd be interesting to hear what he would have to say about the whole all the Spiral days. Y'all have talked about that. Did you know about XTV then?
Yeah, man. I know about XTV for a long time, man. Since I was a young kid. I'm not even that old, man. I'm only 34, so I've got a long way to go, and Dairo, man, he's made a mark in XTV, and he's just like, we talked about that, placement in XTV. It's like, where are you on the card? Where do you want to end up? And it's just like, I'm pretty happy with where I am, because everything that I did on purpose, so it's like, even though I was the heavyweight champion, that doesn't make, and the champion of champions, that doesn't mean that, that's going to put me all the way at the top necessarily in XTV, but, when it's my time to get there, I think I'm definitely going to get there. Everything is going to have its time, it just takes its time.
Yeah. Well said, and that's how I feel the exact same way. Dairo, an example of somebody who came in, but they kept on giving Dairo a chance, and I think that he just had such a good look about him, or his everything, his show had a good look about it, and they just kept on giving it chance after chance. It had a good look, it had a good feel, but it just wasn't what Romy's was.
Romy's funny as hell, man. Damn. The damn Romy.
Now I understand that you that you battle rap.
Hell yeah, man. I'm in the battle rap culture.
Can I put you on the spot to do some rhymes?
Nah, man. I'm not gonna do any rhymes right now. I'm gonna make it special for you guys, man. When I actually get out there and spit some bars, I'm going up against Tin Light, man. He's been running his mouth. He's been talking a whole lot of trash on his blogs and stuff. So I'm gonna really go out there and I'm gonna kick his butt.
I never seen you as a battle rapper, Chris.
Me and B-Boy used to battle rap back in the days, man, in the locker room back in GXT. We would just, go back and forth and just, say stuff to each other, and, it was pretty cool, man. One time we actually drew a crowd, and, they crowned, B-Boy the winner, but they said that we both did good. Like, we both got, really good ovations, but they had to do it twice, and they crowned B-Boy the winner. But yeah, I mean, I always liked rap,
Who's your favorite rapper?
Man, I gotta say Eminem, man. He's just fucking just killer, man. Like, he just does stuff, he gets heat. Talk about getting major heat, man. He knows how to get heat.
That's crazy. I look forward to seeing you versus Tin Light. You had other ventures that was gonna help you pop off, and we're gonna take a quick break, but we're gonna talk about that in just a few moments. But first, a word from my sponsors.
Stanley Theophis here to remind you of my new podcast, the Talk of the Town podcast. Tune in on XTV1. This week's special guest, Amber Francis, comes out of hiding and she joins us for Talk of the Town to tell us about how she was rejected from XTV. Because they said the Rocky leaders wanted to bring us. Join us for all the special fun and all the good times. You never know who might stop by or what might happen on the Talk of the Town podcast with Stanley Theophis.
You know, you mentioned earlier on that you was the champion in XTV, and you know your title reign really was nothing to excuse me, it was nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you was the champion for like a long ass time, and it's so hard to keep ratings and rankings up. Even in the last days before this long ass hiatus, they only kept record of the very top 10. So you couldn't see like the top 40 or the top 50, you know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't see where everybody really stood. You know what I'm saying? How well each individual was developing. But I gotta imagine that during your title reign, when you was the heavyweight, I believe you was the champion of champions, that's got to be like something. I mean, it's like you said, you beat everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really to brag, man. I mean, I did my thing, and, I wanted to be noticed then as the heavyweight champion, So, like, now, I have to just go out there and do it again, and just keep winning, and kicking ass.
Now, do you think that you would come back as a heel or as a babyface, given the situation?
I definitely, man. I definitely rather be a heel. I mean, to be honest, I like being a heel better. I really didn't get over too much as a babyface, but that was kind of just like a joke kind of thing. It was just like for a while. It's like me and Sheamus, and then we were the good team, and then we went up against the bad team. So that was just silly stuff like that, but our matches used to go on like super long. I didn't like that, that they would just go on for so long because they weren't that important. But for some reason, we would just go on for extra long. But yeah, I mean, the title reign was cool. It was what it was. I was proud at the time about it, and nobody's the champion now, so all I have to do is make myself and show up and I'll be there and to be a part of the tournament.
Yes, it's supposed to be a tournament going on after XTV Mania for the heavyweight championship. Now also I was going to talk to you about some outside ventures, because one thing that helps a guy, really get over somebody like the Killer, or Romy, is being on like an outside show, something that's different from wrestling, because everybody's on the roster, when it comes to the in-ring competition. But when you're able to step outside and have your own show or your own something, your own lane that says, this is me, and this is what I do, that tends to usually help people out, and you was gonna go for that and doing the MMA thing. Why didn't that work out?
I think that the idea behind that was just bad timing. It was going to be something real cool too, because it wasn't going to just be me, but you were going to see other guys break through, sort of, and be a part of that. But yeah, it was just bad timing, man. But I was really training to really take that serious. It was going to be like my thing, really learning the controls and the locks and how to get out of the ground submissions and different things like that. Like really know how to really work work the game and thrive in it and move forward and make things go smoothly and be able to put on great matches. Because when you listen to that thing, man, it's like really you're watching a real fight. But you know, a lot of the fights that were fought on, you know, the MMA stuff was kind of like, I don't know, just like the guys look unsure about what they're doing. You know, it's not really smooth, but you know, you can tell that if you did know what you were doing, that this could really be like a damn spectacular moment. There was this guy, there were the guys, I think Kareem and David Kidd Jr., you know, they pulled that off pretty well, you know, when they went out there. And, you know, I would suggest, you know, if you guys don't know about that matchup, to go check it out. It's on the, I think it's on the East Coast channel, man. You know, it's David Kidd Jr. In 3 rounds up against Kareem Strong. Badass match, man. And, you know, they went to the boxing, and then once they got to the MMA stuff, you know, it was like pretty intense. A lot of controversy. You know, those guys, you know, 2 guys again, you know, who just had a great feud. You know, both of those guys are so talented, man. Like, you know, you know, they're stars.
Oh yeah, they definitely is. You know, 2 outspoken individuals, and same thing with David Kidd Sr., who, you know, don't even look like, you know, the age that he really is.
Yeah. I love my matches with those type of guys, man. You know, where you can really just see some pure wrestling. And that's what lets you know that, you know, there's room for, like, that type of dynamic, you know, that type of diversity. You know, pure wrestling, you know, in the middle of the ring, you know, just pure raw talent going at each other, you know. Those are some of the best matches, you know, and, you know, I remember, like, the era of the athletes, you know, like, you had guys like that, you know, like me and Lance and, you know, Millennium, you know, guys that are, you know, they were just good, you know, and it's not easy to, you know, come up with a guy, you know, who's going to have not only a unique look about him, but his moveset that matches his look, you know, and matches his style, you know, so, that's pretty cool that you're able to, you know, come up with something like that. Like, you know, everything about Millennium is just like, it's so him, you know, and it's just like, that's crazy, you know, because you're kind of limited, you know. It's only so many submissions you can pick, you know. There's only so many punches that a person can throw, you know, that are actually good and, you know, are gonna help you win matches. So, you know, for some of these guys like a Charles Dean to, you know, be put together, you know, it's just like, it's actually phenomenal, man.
It is phenomenal, Chris. It's been phenomenal talking to you. And well, I was going to ask you who your favorite opponent was, but you kind of already answered that earlier on in Wales.
Yeah, man. Every time we went out there, man, to me, it was just, you know, classic stuff, man. I mean, and we kind of sound similar, I think, you know. It's just like we got the high-pitched voice, you know. I was practicing last night in the mirror, you know, how I was going to sound, you know, when I talk to you. I don't know what the hell is happening to my voice right now. It's just, I don't know, man. It's weird. But, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to try to talk with a deep voice.
Oh, man. You just come on and be yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, as soon as I got on the phone with you, man, it's just like, you know, I haven't talked to you since way back then, man. It's just like, as soon as I got on the phone with you, it just felt like old times.
Yep, man. Everything is still going here, you know. You know, it is what it is. XTV, it's just a very, very busy place. I'm out here, you know, Killer's here, LT, you know, Yosi, you know, Romy, DT.
Those are the guys, man. Those are the big fish, man. Those, you know, and it's just like, we would just like go off and do our own things, and you guys would always stay after the show. And you know, sometimes I want to be there, but I've got my own obligations and stuff like that. But it's really cool, man. You know how things, you know, just continue to develop.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming along. You know, Bill Hunter done found his way as a main guy. RJ, you know, the link with him, you know, they major, you know. Of course, we got Yaki and Monster. Everybody that you love, still right here at home at the park at Sienna. It's been a good time talking to you, Chris, man. I can't wait to see you come back.
Man, I can't wait to be back, Justin, man. You know, I feel just so I feel refreshed after talking to you about all that stuff. Like, it's just like, whew, like, man, like, it's just really good, man. This really made my day today.
Yeah, it made my day too, Chris, man. It's always a good time talking to you. I'm gonna see you on down the road.
All right, man, take care.
All right. Fun talking with Chris Major, a wonderful, wonderful dude. Great character in my book. You know, I always loved, you know, his work in the ring. You know, and it's just certain people like, you know, like I just look forward to seeing like Isabella. You know, like Isabella is so she got so specific stuff, and she not a regular. You know, like you can make Romy, you know what I'm saying? It's easy for us to do like a Romy or myself even, you know. It ain't really much to me. I got gray hair, the beard. You know how to do Trunks. You know how to do Bob, the regulars, you know, the killer. But to be able to redo a Chris Major from game to game, or, you know, somebody like I remember Foxy being tough, you know, bringing her as a crossover from 06 to 2010. And, you know, so I always find that fascinating when guys can, you know, come back, show up, you know, that 80s guy, you know, can just be, it's like, oh, look, it's him, you know, no homo. I did the soup at the Kendrick Lamar concert, or was that Damien? I don't know, it was one of y'all niggas, y'all damn Kendrick Lamar fanboys, something else. Don't say nothing about Kendrick around them. Oh, man. But, yeah. Good talking with Chris Major. I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for supporting our wonderful sponsors. And I guess that'll be all for this episode of A Good Time Podcast. I think that's the name of it. I had thought of the name of it, and now I can't remember it. You know, I keep on saying it like it's just going to roll off my tongue. I guess it's a good time podcast. I have a good time. That's what all matters. Do you have a good time? Because if you do, then that's what's mattering. Okay? I'm finna get the hell off of here because, you know, I don't start rambling and shit. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I look forward to you coming back and joining me next time on A Good Time Podcast. Who will my next guest be? I don't know. We're just going to have to save it for the next time. See you down the road, folks.